It's 5-all in the second set and suddenly you make your move. Can you talk us through how you just turn the tables like that?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I started off very well the first set and not so many problems with my service games. Then after I struggled a little bit. I felt like he raised his level. I missed a couple of quite easy shots, but you know this can happen, and I lost a bit the rhythm, also a bit the confidence. So I just tried to dig deep, you know, and especially on 5-all, he made a couple of mistakes, which that helped me, you know, to get the decisive break. And but still, you know, I'm very happy. You know, you have to find also different ways to win matches, and I'm really happy. So obviously now we have to aim to raise our level, but as I know, every day is different. So let's see what's coming tomorrow.
I don't know if you know this, but you've now beaten 50 straight players outside the world's top 50. 50 straight. That talks of your remarkable consistency. Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, I mean, I just try to do, you know, my best. I respect every player, but I try to play my best tennis always, you know, if I can. And I'm not the ranking at the end of the day, just a number. I feel like everyone is playing, you know, very high intensity, high quality, and especially when the opponents don't have a lot to lose, you know, they are a bit more freer, and you always have to stay very focused. But you know, I'm happy. You know, it's a great start of the season again, and of course we, as I said before, we try to improve small things, and hopefully this can help with them from tomorrow.
Unexpected message from McEnroe, former world #1, about Alcaraz and Sinner. John McEnroe is part of the exclusive club of ATP world #1s. He spent 170 weeks at the top of men's tennis and finished 4 seasons as world #1. And even decades after retiring, he says he is still learning things about this sport. In a conversation with ATP media during the ATP 500 in Dallas, he explained what he respects most about players like Novak Djokovic, Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer and, more recently, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. They keep pushing. Maybe I learned the lesson a bit late, but looking back I think I should have pushed even harder instead of waiting to see what would happen, he admitted. In the end, all of this leaves you with life lessons that, over time, help you become a better person. The legendary left-hander first reached #1 in the PIF ATP rankings in March 1980. The first time I appeared as #1 on the computer was different from when I truly felt like I was #1, and there was no doubt about it, he recalled. It took about a year and a half, from Memphis in February 1980 to September 1981 at the US Open, when I replaced Bjorn at the top. When he reached the summit, his great rival, Bjorn Borg, was still in his prime. However, 1981 would be the Swede's last full season. It coincided, unfortunately, with my biggest rival's decision to stop playing. It was tough, he confessed. For a while I felt like I had gotten into something that was bigger than me. It took me time to process it. And when I finally understood it, I was already finishing as #1 for the 3rd or 4th year. After reaching that level I thought, now I've really proven it. His last spell as world #1 ended in September 1985. More than 4 decades later, he still holds the 7th best record for weeks at the top. I valued it at the time, but I also valued being #2. I talked a lot about this with Bjorn, he said. He used to tell me, if you're not #1, what difference does it make if you're #2 or #100? And I would answer, well, being #2 is much better than being #100. For McEnroe, pride does not depend only on ranking. There are a lot of people trying to do their thing. If you gave everything and you were #5 in the world or #50, whatever, you should feel proud. No one can take away what he achieved in tennis, and that explains why fans still come to see him. With the passing of time, he sees it even more clearly, being able to say that for 3 or 4 years I was the best in the world, and in others I was one of the top 2 or 3, you enjoy it much more as you get older. ATP tournaments are competing with each other to confirm the participation of the 2 best tennis players on the planet, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. Their presence is a major attraction for tennis fans, but also for sponsors. For that reason, countries and federations with more resources, money, pull out the checkbook to ensure that the Spaniard and the Italian will compete in the tournament they organize. That is exactly what has happened in Doha. As reported by La Gazzetta dello Sport, the ATP 500 in Doha, Qatar, has paid no less than $1.2 million to each of them, €1.01 million, just for participating in the tournament. An astonishing figure considering that this amount practically triples what the tournament champion will earn, $529,945. Although it is not known for sure whether both of them have gone to Doha mainly for the financial reward, What is clear is that the two best players in the world will compete again for a title after the Mercian won the Australian Open 2 weeks ago. They could only meet in a hypothetical semi-final, and since the Australian major Carlos has lost 500 points for not playing the Rotterdam tournament, where he was defending last year's title. The difference between Carlos and Jannik is 2,850 points, and Doha awards 500 points to the champion. The good news for the player from El Palmar is that he is only defending quarterfinal points, where he fell last year to the Czech Lehecka. Anything beyond that round will mean adding points for Alcaraz, who will make his debut this Tuesday, February 17th, against Frenchman Rinderknecht, while Jannik will do so today, Monday, against Czech player McEnroe. Stunning message from Alcaraz after his first match in Doha. The Mercian enjoyed the match despite its toughness and already has his ticket to the round of 16. Carlos Alcaraz has started 2026 unstoppable. After winning the Australian Open, the Mercian has not lost a single match this year. Although Doha will not be an easy path, as could be seen today with a tough Arthur Rinderknecht who caused Carlitos more than one headache. He keeps winning, and the next objective arrives tomorrow against a player he has never faced before, Valentin Royer. Alcaraz knew Rinderknecht would be hard to beat. It was a complicated match, the first match always is. I know Arthur well, he is a player who is always dangerous, especially if you meet him in the early rounds. He's one of those opponents you'd rather avoid, he commented in the post-match interview after the intense encounter that eventually ended 6-4 and 7-6. I'm happy with the level I showed on court, happy to have overcome this first barrier, to have managed the difficult moments that came up during the match well. That's when I was at my calmest and most positive. I think I produced a good level of tennis. I'm happy with the victory and I hope to keep this streak going, said a delighted Carlos Alcaraz after a thrilling final point that left the center court at the Khalifa International Complex in awe. Royer's profile, Carlitos' next rival. Born in 2001, the player's late breakthrough has been impressive. He has adopted a highly offensive style of play, characterized by risking everything in search of victory. Unlike his compatriot Rinderknecht, who is more focused on coming to the net, Valentin prefers to dominate rallies from the baseline. His main weapon is a devastating inside-out forehand. Royer qualified for the round of 16 after convincingly defeating his compatriot Pierre-Hugues Humbert 6-0, 6-3. He currently occupies position 60 in the ATP rankings, a number that does not do justice to the level of play he has been showing recently. Carlos Alcaraz will face this other Frenchman after reaching 150 hard-court victories, proving that the Mercian is a true all-surface player, despite the fact that at the beginning of his career some experts pointed out that he performed better on clay than on other surfaces. On clay, Carlitos has 103 wins, while on grass he has 35. Alcaraz imposes his law in Doha against a very competitive Rinderknecht. The Frenchman is going through one of the best moments of his career and proved it by putting Carlitos under pressure more than once in this first round of the ATP 500 in Doha. Carlos Alcaraz is already in the second round. The Mercian sealed his passage at the ATP 500 in Doha after defeating a combative Arthur Rinderknecht 6-4, 7-6 in a match that had everything. Moments of maximum tension, some spectacular shots, and a nail-biting finish. In just over an hour and a half, Carlitos showed that he always has an ace up his sleeve. First set for Alcaraz without too many complications. The first set began with Alcaraz at full speed. After securing an early break, the Spaniard focused on consolidating his advantage with a serve that worked with the precision of a Swiss watch. At 4-2 in his favor, he produced one of those pieces of magic that makes the crowd rise to its feet, a delicate drop shot that left the Frenchman rooted to the spot. Rinderknecht, who at times seemed to unravel by sending returns into the net, did not give up and forced Carlos to work hard.